Good morning to you all. In this lecture, I'm going to deliver recurrent neural networks in continuation with our class work. This is the fourth unit, which covers sequence modeling. The previous traditional kind of neural networks, what we have been dealt around the classes and it would have been practiced in the laboratories, are of situation arise, there is a necessity to handle the sequences. The recurrent neural networks performs better. So first, let me come to know how the traditional network models are not fit for sequential data. So once we understand the drawbacks behind the traditional networks like feed-forward networks, we can able to understand the need for the recurrent neural networks. The feed-forward networks accepts fixed size vector as input and produces another fixed size vector as output. This is what we experienced in our previous cases. So that the feed-forward networks are not capable of handling input and output of different in lengths. Traditional networks are not considering the sequence of the data. They are not bothering about the sequence. So the temporal property cannot be managed by them. We can see, we can understand this property with an example in the next slide. See, there are two networks. One is feed-forward neural network. What is our traditional case here? And another thing, recurrent neural networks. This, you can look at the difference between these two networks. RNN have some additional loops here. This is called self loops, right? So this we have to understand what such RNN, why such RNN having this kind of self looping. This is called recurrence. So RNNs normally learned from the previous output. That is what the previous output is fed back again to the next step. That's what this self loops meant. Let's go ahead with the RNN. Before that, we have to understand the two limitations what have been discussed in the earlier slide. One among such is the temporal property persistence. What is the temporal property meant for a sequential data? Let's take two below sentences for which we are going to find out. We have to come up with a sentiment analysis. Use these sentences and let's come and arrive at a sentiment. Now, the first sentence is, this movie no more interesting. The second sentence, if we see, this movie is more interesting. Both the documents have the same set of words, so that while we manipulating these two sentences using back of words, we can have the similar kind of bag of word vector for both the sentences. So these two but one is the sentence one is the negative sentiment, sentence two having the positive sentiment, but there is no difference at all when you we arrive at a back of word vector. So the traditional networks deal both the sentences to the same sentiment, but whereas the position of no, the position of the word no makes sense here, right? So the sequence means the position of every word in the sentence has to be taken care. The sequence has to be maintained, right? So here in traditional network fails in taking care of or to maintain the same temporal property of every word in the sentences, whereas RNN succeed in that case. Now let's come to the recurrent neural networks. in detail how basically they are and how do they works and how RNNs are capable of managing the sequences and all. Let's see one by one in the forthcoming slides. The recurrent neural networks are of type of neural network such as we would have come across with various types of neural networks. Such a way, RNN is one among the type where the output of the previous step will be fed back to the current step as input, one among the input. So at every stage or every stage, the current state takes up two input. One is the current input, another is the previous steps output. So that such a way this RNN, this diagram depicts how the RNN is basically. Look at here, there is one input and this input producing an output. The RNN takes up not only this input, current state input, it also takes up the output of the previous step. This is what we call recurrence. So at each element in the sequence will be having two input. One is current, another one is the output of the preceding element. This is what the basic concept behind the recurrent neural network. The RNN performs same task for every element of a sequence. It performs repeatedly the same task, taking the previous step output and current step input. It performs or it producing the particular steps output. Such a way in all the sequences, in all the stages, it performs the same task. That's why it's called a recurrent neural net. Now come to the comparison between the traditional neural networks and RNN. The most prevalent comparison differences between the traditional neural network and recurrent neural networks is in traditional networks are all type of networks where the input and outputs are independent of each other. That means in sequence one element, if suppose there are n number of elements are there in the network, neural network, one element will not depend on another element output. So they are all independent of each other. Each stage in the network is independent of each other. But whereas in RNN, the output from previous step is taken as input to the current step, as I told. Such a way, RNN takes the past occurrence also, so that the elements in the sequence are depending on each other. The next element, how this happens, how RNN can remember the past. That means how RNN takes up the output of the previous element at every stage. So there should be something special in RNN to remember the past. No? So what is that special? RNN have a memory. RNN have a memory. This is what the predominant difference between the traditional neural networks and RNN. So the recurrent neural networks remembers the past and its decisions are influenced by what it has learned from the past. So this is what the clear-cut point, what we have to remember throughout this RNN kind of frameworks. The recurrent neural network remembers the past and its decisions are always influenced by what it has learned from the past. So this is what the greatest strength of RNN in handling the sequence data, right? So for example, if I want to take up a decision, what kind of sentence it is, positive or negative. So every word in the sentence will be decided from its previous word, right? So that's what actually the strength behind the RNN. Now let's come to a small idea. where RNN overrides machine learning, other machine learning algorithms like feed forwards, backpropagation algorithms, or other, let's see, it overrides all other networks, okay, and learnings. How it overrides? For example, let's take up a small sentence. The movie was boring for the first 15 minutes, but then it was terribly exciting. If you open this statement and from the starting, you can come up with an idea. The movie was boring for first 15 minutes. Definitely it is a negative sentiment. But then it is added, it was terribly exciting. Now the sentence completely become positive. It was a positive tweet. So let's say it's a tweet. It's a positive tweet. For this particular tweet, let's see how our traditional neural networks and RNN performs. Our traditional machine learning algorithms will result that this tweet is a negative tweet. But whereas our RNN says it's a positive tweet. This is the how actually RNN differs. And to predict the next word of a sequence, RNN always look at the previous word at every stage, right? That is why RNN can come up with a positive sentiment, positive result for correct, exactly right result for this particular sentence. Let's see some of the advanced applications of our recurrent neural networks. The first application is sentiment classification. As we already come across with the example in the previous slide, really a sentiment classification kind of task, RNNs are better or as a best choice. While classifying the tweets into positive or negative sentiment, here we have to see we have to note a point that the input would be a tweet of varying length always, okay? Or not all the tweets are in same length. Every tweet will be varying in length, you know. So our RNN takes up varying length of tweets as input, while output is a fixed type, either positive or negative. It's a fixed binary output it is, right? Plus or minus, right? Likewise, it takes up every tweet and do a sequence modeling and sequence analysis and come up with the output. Either this tweet is a positive tweet or as a negative tweet. Let's come to the next application, which is image captioning. This is a very familiar application of RNN where they give the caption. Caption means the textual description. If you have been given with the image, RNN could be able to describe what actually that image depicts. That's what image captioning. Here also RNN takes a single input image of fixed size. It may be a fixed size image in dimension like 20 cross 28 cross 28 cross 1, or like any fixed size image it takes up, and it gives a series or sequence of words as output, and all are of varying length. For example, let's see this is what actually we have 4 pictures over here. For example, this is the first picture where there a man riding a motorcycle on a dirty road. This is what the description for this picture. And the next description for the next image, the dogs are playing in the grass. If you look at these two captions, they are not in same length. They are differing in length. So that, but the image size is fixed for all the 4 images. There is a fixed size image, but our RNN is producing a varying length output. Okay, so every caption is having its own number of words, right? And also, not only the same image can have any number of caption, right? For example, let's consider this first image. Here the caption given is a person riding a motorcycle on a dirty road. We can now some other caption like it's not only a person, it may be a man. A man is riding a motorcycle on a dirty road or any irregular roads. Like we can add any more detailed caption on. All depends upon the training part. How many pictures or images are taken for training, the strength of the training algorithm. We can expect the proper or right caption. Let's come to the next example. Application of RNN, which is language translation. The language translation is a very familiar application of RNN, where it takes some text in a particular language as input and the equivalent text in other different language will be the output. Here also you can look at, this is the input text which is in English language. You can see how many number of words are there, the length of the document you can see, and this English text is translated into French. This is the French text. You can see the difference. The input and output are not in the same length, right? And such a way you could able to have a multilingual translation, and one form or one language text can be translated into another language text using RNN very easily. So here the sequence matters. Actually, the sequence should not be shuffled for translation kind of task, so that's why the RNN will be very helpful for this application. And let's say come to the core part of our lecture, how RNN remembers. So far and so long we discussed so many applications of RNN, where in every application the RNN is playing a vital role on remembering the past for the future prediction. So how RNN remembers? RNN have a memory cell. At the heart of an RNN is a layer made up of memory cells that makes the RNN to remember. The long short-term memory is having many variations, bidirectional long short-term memory, and like there are STM in detail in the next lecture. Coming to the RNN model, this is where we have to understand RNN in a right sense. Look at here, this is a single cell of RNN. There is an input EX, and the center part of the RNN is the hidden layer, hidden node, and after some process, we are getting an output Y. So here we input an X and getting an output Y from the hidden layer, hidden cell. The hidden cell, it takes another input, not only the present input, it takes the another input, which is our previous cell's output, right? So when this is a computational model, this is a computational graph of RNN. When we unfold the graph, and one more thing we have to know is these are all weights, Wx, Wy, and Wh, all are weights. Wx is the weight of the input node to hidden, and Wh is the weight applied for hidden node, and Wy is the weight applied for the connection between hidden node and output node. And when we unfold the computations, the computational graph, we can get this unfolded graph. Look at here, there is n number of hidden nodes, H1 through H3, that is still Hn, there can be any number of hidden cells. Each hidden cell takes up its own input, x1, x2, x3, and it producing its own output, y1, y2, and y3. And it also takes up the weight Wh from its previous hidden state, right? And for example, H1 receives H0 output, H2 receives H1's output, and H3 receives H2's output, right? And weight vectors are, as I already told you, there here, right? The unfolding graph results sharing of parameter across a deep neural network structure. You see here the parameters are being shared. So this is how sharing happens from previous stage to the next stage. Parameter sharing happens. See, let's say this is the state. At every state, yes, at time t could be written as a function of the previous state at time t minus 1 with the current parameter theta. While suppose if you say there are three number of states S3 which can be written as the function of S2 and which it in turn can be written as a function of S1. Such a way unfolding happens. For a finite number of time t, the graph can be unfolded by applying the definition t minus 1 times. That's what actually this statement means. And let's consider a dynamical system driven by an external signal x of t, where x is the input at time t to an R and N, which can be written as in a notational way. S of t will be the function of s of t minus 1 comma x of t, as well the parameter theta. Now the state contains the information about the whole past sequence. So this is the present state at time t, and this is the state at time t minus 1, previous states input. And to indicate the state is the hidden unit of the network, we now rewrite this as this particular notation as h of t equal to f of h of t minus 1 comma x of t theta. So why? Because when you come to this case, the state here is represented by a hidden node. That's why here it's given like this. This notation is rewritten like this: h of t, hidden node. Hidden state of t is depending on, it's a function of hidden state of t minus time t minus 1. Right? So every hidden state takes input from its previous state as well the current value. That's what it means actually. Right? Respect to the vector w, which is the weight parameter, and h of t minus 1, it's the old state, and xt is input vector at some time, at some time step, at time step t. Right? At the present time t, your new state will be equals to the function of h of t minus 1 comma xt. Let's look at a recurrent neural network, which could be written as, which is a function here which is h of t, as I already written in the previous slide. H of t here is a function of fw ht minus 1 comma xt. Ht will be the hidden state at time step t. Here ht is the memory, actually what I told already. Every hidden state is the memory, and this ht is calculated based on the previous hidden state. That's what it is, a function. It takes another parameter ht minus 1. This is the previous state hidden value, and the input of the current step. The input of the current step is xt. Right? And the function could be any non-linear function such as tan h or ReLU functions. If you want to and also initially, the initial value of hidden state for the first hidden node will be always initialized to 0, and the output yt will be calculated based upon, let's see how the ht is calculated. I know I told this fw is maybe the function, any function. Here it is taken as tan h, because tan h allows the output from ranging from -1 to +1, and h of which we are receiving ht. Now The output yt can be calculated with the function the ht multiplied with the weight why. We, as I already mentioned, there are three weight matrices. One is for input, another is for hidden, another is for output. So that weight matrix is taken over here and which is multiplied with ht yields yt. Yt is the output of step t. It is normally the yt could be, for example, if you want to predict the next word in a sentence, it would be a vector of probability across our vocabulary, right? So now coming to the RNN computational graph and its variations, RNN ahead with the next state. The present state FW takes its previous input as well the current step input. The sequence grows. The next input it takes for computing H2, it takes the past memory H1. Such a way H3 till HT. All the sequences here, for example, if for the I, X2 will be like, X3 will be moving. So corresponding one hot vector will be X1. For example, for I, there will be a corresponding one hot vector. So that will be X1. And like will be having another corresponding one hot vector that will be given as X2. And X3 will be the one hot vector of moving. Right? Such a way the sequence expanded. Look at here. We talked about the weight, input weight, no? 8 vector. All the states will be taking, it will be sharing the same weight matrix. That's what the real beauty behind the RNN, which is not exist in the case of our traditional networks. The weight vector differs in the previous traditional type of neural networks, what we discussed so far and so long. But here in RNN, same weight vector is shared between all the hidden states. Yeah, this is another type of RNN. So here this is the type of simple RNN and another type of RNN which is having many to many combinations. We take many varying length of input and many varying length of output. And there is a one to many type of RNN takes only one input X only here, look at here, only one input, and other hidden states H2, H3 are not taking any more additional input like X1, X2, X3 is not present in this case. Only one input is given and but it's producing many outputs, right? And next type is many to one. Here every state is taking its own current input X1, X2, X3, but only one output is produced at a time. Right? So this is many to one. This is one to many, right? So only one input is taken, but it produces output at every state. Okay. So let's come and once after we understand clearly what is RNN, let's compare RNN with the feed forward. This is a feed forward network where one input is X is given. At function it undergoes a function F and an activation, then another again function activation function activation function active. This is what the deep feed forward network, which is this is a well-known function where activation that is AT is equal to FT of AT minus 1, which is a sigmoid value for weight matrix multiplied with this current input plus the bias. This is a well-known feed-forward network. Now let's see a recurrent neural network where the H0, the state 1, the initial state takes the present input X1 and the next state begins H1 which takes the past memory H0 and H1 takes new input X2 and it produces H2 and H2 will be now the past memory for H3. Such a way the network grows. So this is how actually feed forward and recurrent neural networks different from each other. See, look at here. In feed forward network, there is only one input vector which will be subsequently supplied in variations to all the layers. But in the feed forward network does not have any input at each step, and feed forward network has different parameters for each layer. So if it is RNN one-to-one RNN, we will be giving one input and getting one output at a time. It is vanilla neural network. And for image captioning kind of applications, we will be giving only one image and getting output as a sequence of words. Captions are sequence of words, right? So at every state, we will be getting one word at a time. That's what it is, one to many. And many to one case, for example, sentiment classification. Sentiment classification, we will be given with different words of every document, every sentence. At the individual words of the same sentence will be issued as input for hidden states, so that finally one sentiment comes at the end of the sequence, which is either positive or negative, where result comes up. This is what many to one model of RNN. So when you work with image captioning, with the RNN model will be the one to many model. For sentiment classification, it is a many to one model. And many to many case, for machine learning translation purposes, we will be giving a sequence of words as input. At every state, one word will be given. On sequence continues, the translation start beginning, the output start begins. For every word and its equivalent translated word will be our output. That's what the sequence of words are input and sequence of words as output, many to many model. And one more kind of many to many application is video classification on frame levels. Right. So this is the one what we have already discussed, vanilla neural network. So this is the model what you have taken into consideration to understand how RNN works for an example. Okay, let's come to this example. We will be taking a sequence analysis, and this is the problem of predicting the next probable character that could be best to suit for the sequence to produce. So while you type any text in your mobile phone, smart mobiles, when you type first two letters, the probable words will be displayed for your convenience in order to reduce our time. A word sequence, character sequence prediction will happen, So that's kind of application we have taken here. Let's consider a sequence hello. So hello sequence is for simple understanding. Let's go through the steps behind. The first and foremost step in sequence model here is compute HT for the first letter H. We'll be taking the first letter H, for which we are computing HT, and for which the HT minus 1 is the present state input XT multiplied with the weight matrix WXH. Then you compute WHH, that is T minus HT minus 1, the previous output, that is past memory, multiplied with the weight vector, added with the bias. And then step 3, we have to take up this step 1 output has to be added with the step 2 output, and for which you are taking the function tan h. And the fourth step, compute HT of the next letter E. So this is HT of the letter H. And for the next letter E, in order to compute HT, this the letter H HT becomes HT minus 1 here. Right? Such a way, step 5, once after we compute HT of the next letter E, we have to compute the output YT. YT is computed by multiplying simply HT into the weight matrix. So what will be the YT here? It may be a softmax function to classify in order to calculate the class-wise probability of the next letter. Based upon the softmax YT, for which letter the highest probability outcomes will be the probable next letter, right? That's what actually the sequence get modeled. So here for the letter H we do not calculate YT because the H is the initial letter, right? Let's say hello. In hello sentence there are 4 different characters H, E, L and O, for which we are computing the 1-0 vector. 1-0 encoding I already explained in the previous class itself how to calculate 1-0 vector. The all alphabets there will be a equivalent 4-bit binary vector. For H it is 1000 and E 0100 and L 0010 and O 0001. This is what 1-0 encoding. After 1-0 encoding, this is what we are given with. The WXH is we are given with. This is a weight matrix for input X to hidden H. This is the random matrix. Now compute the step 1 where we calculate HT for the first letter H. Then equation takes place HT minus 1 equal to WXH into XT. So WHH XH is the matrix. What is he given with? Random weight matrix. Now taken here and it is multiplied with the XT. Or the first letter H or 1-0 vector is 1000. That's what I have taken here 1000. Right? When these two matrices are get multiplied, we will be getting 3 by 1 matrix, okay, as an output. Okay. Let's come to the second step. In second step, what you have to do is the HT minus 1. This is the weight of hidden node, H to H, weight of hidden node, and added with the bias. Let's see here. The H is the, since the H is the first character, always HT minus 1 will be 0000. Okay, there is no previous past memory, so it takes a 1 by 3 matrix of 3000, all 0 matrix. Now this is HT WH. This is the WHH, only single vector multiplied with the HT minus 1 added with bias value. These are all constants given. So while you multiply and add, your final value vector will take the form 0.567. And in step 3, we have to calculate HT. HT will be the, I told you no, the step 1 should be added with step 2. And the whole matrix, for the whole matrix, you have to compute tan H. Let's see how. And this is the WSH into XT, which we obtained from the step 1. 0.287, 0.9. This is what? This whole value. Yeah. Then WHH HT minus 1 is the one what we computed here along with added with the bias. So this whole part we have here. So let's take it. And when you add these two matrices, the result is 0.85, 1.4469 and add 1.104. This is what we have as a result. Now take the tan H for the resultant value. Once we take tan H, finally we got HT matrix. This is what HT, right? Now this HT value becomes HT minus 1 for the next letter E, right? So the HT matrix, look at here, this is HT of letter H, no? It becomes HT minus 1 for the next letter E, right? For next letter E, we have to compute as the same manner, we have to compute HT equal to tan H of WHH ST minus 1 plus bias plus WHSH into XT. So the same step 1, step 2, step 3 all are performed in one single sentence. Here XT will be, this is WSH into XT. Here XT is the current step input. This is the 1-0 vector of the character E, letter E, multiplied with the weight matrix WSH. We will be getting this matrix, which in turn, and this is HT minus 1, which is HT of letter H, multiplied with the weight matrix, weight value WHH, added with the bias, we will be getting the next output, which is completely this portion. So we have this portion and this portion. Now let's add both of them, for which you are taking tan H. Finally, we got HT value, HT matrix. The next step is to compute the output Y for the state T. YT will be the product of HT multiplied by the weight matrix, weight of hidden to output, WHY, WHY. So here the WHY matrix is given here. It's a randomized matrix, and this is what the HT of character E, and finally we got the probabilities. Now computing the softmax of YT, what you got here, to calculate the class-wise probabilities of the next letter, the softmax of the YT will give us the probability of the next letter, right? Okay, so this is what actually the character level language model, what we dealt so far. So I explained how each and every stage the hidden values are computed and the output is generated. So this is the overall model for our given sequence. For the vocabulary HELO, we have a sample sequence hello. So here there are 4 varying characters HELO, for which we have vocabulary, and each character has 1-0 matrices. For H it is 1000, 10100. This is what we have already discussed. Now the input layer consists of all 4 characters along with the 1-0 vectors, which is given as x1, x2, x3 and x4. Now the hidden layer, hidden calculation, hidden value calculation, the HT is calculated for every character, right? And the output layer from HT, here for the first initial value, the letter H, there is no previous state. So it was the previous H minus 1 was assumed as 000, with which we calculated like this, the output layer like the softmax function value like this. Here you look at, okay, the entire model is shown here. So this is how actually all the computation happens. So as we discussed in the step 1 to 6, the first character H, we take its 1-0 vector and hidden layer computation, output computation, softmax computation. Finally, we predict E will be the next character. With that, we move on and predict E. We find out the probability of the next character for after E, which is L. and one more L, and then O. So the entire sequence is predicted as hello. Coming to the end, the recurrent neural networks are also having some disadvantages. The first disadvantage is gradient vanishing and exploding problems. Vanishing gradient and exploding gradient problems we know about. We all already know what are they. The same problem is here for recurrent neural network also. RNN training is very difficult task because so many computations are involved in every fold, and RNN cannot capable of processing very long sequences because if it is very challenging for RNN having TANH and ReLU function as activation, right? In case when we go for long sequences, the performance will be poor if we make use of TANH and ReLU function. Thank you for watching the lecture.